Hey everybody, this is Brent, the EdTech principal from EdTech.tv. Today I want to ask a question a little bit more about you than about your students, at least to start. And that question is, when did you become interested in current affairs? For me, I don't remember exactly, but I know it wasn't really in my schooling years. I mean, starting in college and then a little bit more after that, but it really took me a long time to become interested. I didn't want to read news about that type of stuff. I was just kind of into my own thing. And I kind of regret that now, that I wasn't tied in with the current world of my youth growing in. I mean, I had my own interests, and I'm sure you did too, but I missed out on a lot of the world at that time. And so today I kind of want to talk about something a little different, which is how can we help students wrap themselves up in nonfiction reading? I think this is a really important thing, and I know that a lot of you do too, and so we're going to look at that. We want to help students feel prepared to talk about current events. And how do we develop their literacy through measurable steps? So, the great thing about the internet is that, there are places out there that are really trying to make these types of things happen. When I was young, we might have gotten an article from a teacher or two that was inspired, but for the most part, we kind of had to follow things on our own if we weren't given anything. So today I'm going to talk about Newsela. Newsela is a great site that works on developing literacy for students through the modern news, and there's a lot of great aspects about it that I want to cover and introduce to you guys today. So let's go take a look. So here we are at newsela.com. As you can see, the website is very well designed. It's actually beautiful, and it's grown a lot. I've been having a good time watching it over the last year or so since I've known about the site. Let's take a look into one of the articles. And this one says, kids who crossed U.S. border alone find schools are safe havens. And that was done just a couple days ago. They release a new article every day. So we'll click into that. Now, if you haven't created an account, it's going to let you take a look at a few of them, but you can create a free account. Now, here's where the site gets really useful. When we take a look at this article, we can see that we have these numbers over here, and those numbers represent Lexile Levels. Now, if you're not familiar with Lexile Levels, I don't blame you. They're, if you're a literature teacher, you should know, but basically the idea is that, the sentences might be longer, the words might come with more frequency, they might have a more complex grammatical structure. So as we scroll down this particular article, we can see as it starts, it says, there are times when Michael Coughlin's students write essays about their terrifying trips alone across the border between Mexico and the United States. They will write about what they left behind in their countries. Other times they'll mention a court date or ask their teacher for help finding an immigration attorney. That's a fairly complicated paragraph there. We are at the highest Lexile level there. So what this does in Newsela is as you change the different Lexile levels, it makes the sentences and paragraphs easier to read. So we're going to take that same paragraph, but we're going to drop down to the lowest on this one, Lexile level of 740. Now it says, in Michael Coughlin's class, students sometimes write about their voyage from Central America to the United States. Many of them traveled alone and faced serious danger. See how much different that is? It makes a big difference. And so depending on your students' levels, and even if you have students with mixed levels in the same class, you can assign them a different Lexile level, and so they can understand and read these articles. Now, you can see pretty quickly how that can be really, really useful in keeping your students engaged, and even if they're coming across at different, different skill sets and coming into your class from different backgrounds, it can really help them to move forward together in the class. But not only that, you can also assign students to read the article at multiple levels. So for example, you might start them at the 740 and then have them read the article again at the 950 level. So then it says the same sentence. Sometimes Michael Coughlin's class or students write essays about their terrifying journey from Central America to the United States. Other times they'll mention a court date or ask for help finding a lawyer. A little bit more complicated, right? So when you have something like that, then that's going to engage the students, and they're going to go, oh, okay, no, I understand this a little bit more. This is okay for me. And they can start to understand their own Lexile level But on top of that, it gets them reading articles multiple times. Now, the pedagogy behind that, of course, is that rereading is huge in terms of helping students to become more familiar with the various writings and to feel more confident in their own readings. So something you might want to play around with. Now, a way that you can actually test that is with the quiz version. So if I go back to the 740 and I turn on the quiz, it'll ask students right here on the website, and they can choose, hey, it says, where are the refugee students coming from? And maybe they'll choose Central America and move right through the quiz, okay? They can have all the answers there, but what I actually think is kind of cool is for this teacher to take those quiz questions that the students can see anyways and put them into a homework or project it up on the TV and use them as a class discussion. Because when the students are answering maybe from the 740 version, that's great. But then if you take the 950 version, you're also going to find that the quizzes here are different. Select the paragraph from There Is Always Hope that describes a personal anecdote of a refugee girl. And then they'll go over here and pick the correct paragraph. So you can actually test your students to see whether they read the articles in the Lexile level that you've chosen for them. And it's a way to test and make sure that they're reading on multiple levels as well. So as you can see, that would be really, really useful. And something that the students can actually enjoy and get engaged with the topics about as well. Now let's go back to the main page for a minute. So here we are back on the main page, and let's say your students aren't particularly interested in a political issue, and that's totally okay. You can adjust to your topics of whatever you're teaching in class. So it might be War and Peace, which is more politics, science, kids, money, law, health, and arts. So you can go through these and check for, something that might be a little bit more relevant to your class. Of course, you're going to be reading these articles first, as always. There are some pretty intense topics in here, and you have to choose whether or not the articles that you're sharing are age appropriate, and whether or not it's something that you want your students to be discussing in class together with each other and with you. So highly recommend going through and looking at it. Newsela has also introduced Newsela Pro, which has an awesome back end for teachers. To tell the truth, I have not played with it. I've just looked at what they offer, but there's a lot of stuff, including keeping metrics of your classes, having scores that are recordable, being able to keep track of your students, whether they're logging in, all that type of stuff. So Newsela Pro, after you've played around with Newsela a little bit, if you really feel like this is something you want to use on a regular basis, definitely take a look at what they're offering there, because it can be something really interesting. Like I said, I've been watching Newsela grow for the last year or so, and they're really coming into their own, and they really know what they're doing here. So take a look at it and see if it's something that you can apply to your class. With that being said, we're going to jump over to the homework page. All right, so today we gave you a brief introduction to Newsela.com. Your homework is obviously going to be pretty simple. Make a free account at Newsela.com. Then I think you should go find an article that you like, and of course you got to share it out with your class, either by link or by printout. There's nothing saying that you can't print it out. In fact, there's a button right on there to help you do that. Now, sometimes when I print things out from the internet, I like to kind of cut and paste and reshrink the size so that it all fits onto one or two pages. But you can do that for yourself as well. So check it out and see what you come up with. I think that you'll find it's really, really useful for engaging a lot of people. And if you're an ESL teacher, you're going to know exactly how to use this. So let's go move on. As always, you can find me on Twitter at EdTech.Principal, on YouTube also at EdTech.Principal, and on Facebook at EdTech.tv. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think of the site? Do you like it? Do you use it? Have you upgraded to Pro, and are you happy with it? Does your class engage with it? I want to know. So shoot me a message anytime by any of those means, and I will be happy to hear from you and respond. Until next time, I'm Brent, and I will see you later.